You've called this vaccine the most dangerous of all time, but I know also in the beginning, you were kind of all in on it. And I know there was a quote where you said, I trusted the government, I trusted the CDC, I trusted the FDA, I got 2 shots of Moderna. And I was wondering if you could walk me through why you thought you were all in on that. And does it have anything to do with maybe even your background at MIT? You know, I graduated about 13 years after you. And I myself feel like I was a little bit blinded by the science because I was so close to science and it was such a big part of my life that anyone wielding the science, I just went along with them. And so in the beginning, I was kind of all in as well. And it wasn't until I actually had a broadcast with Robert F. Kennedy who kind of opened me up to the human side behind the science. But I'm curious, Steve, why do you think you were so trusting of that in the beginning?
You know, I think we're all taught to trust in authority and trust in experts because we can't all be experts in everything. And so we're typically reliant on people, and we develop a list of people and organizations that we trust over the course of our lives. And for things that we don't have the time to or expertise to go into, we basically defer to authority. I mean, it's just the way people operate. You cannot be experts in everything. And so you have to rely on others for decisions and things that you haven't personally pursued.
And in the beginning, you were really trying to study some of the treatments that were already on the market and how they might be effective. What was the feedback from that or the pushback at the time when you were diving into that?
Well, it was disappointing to me because the scientists that I talked to all said that treatment with off-the-shelf repurposed drugs is the fastest, safest, and cheapest way to end the pandemic. And so I thought that the government would be throwing a lot of money to fund studies of various repurposed drugs to combat the virus. And I was just amazed at the lack of funding that was available for this. And I approached the Gates Foundation to get funding so that we could fund these early treatment trials. And they said that they were out of money. And I contacted BARDA, and BARDA, of course, didn't give me a dime. They put it all into vaccines. And so it was just a waste of time to try to get money out of other institutions. And I ended up tapping my friends and raised about $6 million to fund various research projects all over the world on repurposed drugs. And one of the most successful was fluvoxamine. It was featured on 60 Minutes. And more recently, there was a trial in Thailand that was done. And they found that fluvoxamine, when combined with one other drug, and there were different combinations that were tested in this trial, but any 2-drug combination led to 0 hospitalization from COVID. So it's just a stunning result in that trial. So it affirmed once again that fluvoxamine in combination with another drug can be effective. And it was also, there was only a 5% hospitalization rate when fluvoxamine was used alone, but a 0% hospitalization rate when it was used in combination with one other drug. And so, and this was a well-done trial. Angela Rierson, who participated in the original trials for fluvoxamine and was the person who actually came up with the concept. She was involved in that trial, and I talked to her about it, and she said it was a well done trial, and of course the results are just spectacular, showing that we never needed the vaccines at all. We could have used these repurposed drugs, and fluvoxamine, when used at the dosage and the number of dosings that are recommended in the study, is very safe. I haven't heard of anybody who's had any serious adverse events. And fluvoxamine's been on the market, of course, for 30 years.
It reminds me a little bit of what Peter McCullough was doing at the time, and kind of asking the question that nobody else was asking, as in, what about just some basic treatments you would give to anybody, you know, suffering from these kinds of symptoms? Here are some really simple things that, as a doctor, it seems obvious to me. And when he started talking to him, it's like everybody looked at him like he was insane, and he just couldn't believe it. You know, he's got that famous testimonial, I think, at the Texas Congress. And again, it's funny when you look at him now, it seems so obvious, but at the time, everybody was kind of jumping ahead to, oh, vaccine, 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 but nobody was talking about some of these common treatments. And then anytime someone would bring up some of these drugs, they were called crazy for using them. It was such a strange time.
Yeah, and there are lots of effective protocols. The FLCCC had a protocol. Peter McCullough had a protocol. A couple of doctors out of Southern California, George Fareed and Brian Tyson, had a protocol. They've treated over 20,000 patients with their protocol. And they have maybe 1 or 2 hospitalizations, and that was only when the people getting the treatment came very late. So these treatments, these early treatments, especially the Fareed and Tyson protocol, which started in March of 2020. So it was well known back then. You never have long haul COVID. So you can prevent long haul COVID with an early treatment protocol that's effective, such as the Fareed and Tyson protocol, but you also prevent hospitalization. So there was never a need for the vaccine. And they had basically safe and effective treatments using drugs that were well characterized and well known. But the CDC and everybody else in the medical community ignored this. Now, you can't treat 20,000 patients and have a couple of hospitalizations and say that, oh, they just got lucky.
But at the time, you hadn't necessarily realized that something strange might have been going on. You just thought you were just kind of getting rebuffed and people were focusing on other things. I guess only in retrospect you look back and said, oh, the reason they're ignoring this is because they can't justify the vaccine exemption if these other common drugs would actually help prevent. Is that kind of the way that worked out?
Well, I wasn't a conspiracy theorist at the time, and so I just labeled it incompetence on behalf of these agencies, because what happens when you go to medical school is you're trained that it's drilled into you that the only proof of efficacy is randomized, double-blind trials. And that's simply not true. That's not the way science works. Science works with evidence. And if I had a non-blinded study where I treated, say, 1 million people for COVID and had 0 hospitalizations, that would be completely discounted by the medical community because it wasn't randomized, double-blind study, their gold standard. And they would say, well, that's interesting, but we need the gold standard trials to actually prove whether it works or not. And you have to do a phase 2 and a phase 3 trial so that you have multiple trials to prove that it works. And this is just a distortion of what science is about. Science is about looking at what the data says and making a judgment as to what you recommend from that data. And clearly, when you had the numbers that Fareed and Tyson were talking about at the time, that could not have happened by chance. And so they should have been dropping everything and saying, let me try to replicate this. Let's try to replicate this at a clinic outside of Southern California. Let's try to replicate this somewhere else just to make sure, and then go with it.
So Jim Rickards has just recorded a video that's not available to anyone in the public, and he's going to be talking about how this upcoming recession is going to be fast, it's going to be bloody, it's going to be nasty. But at the same time, he's going to show you how you can position yourself to profit from all of this chaos. Now, we've made this video only available to our viewers. Go to londonreal.tv/Jim. Watch that immediately. I can't say enough good things about Jim Rickards. He understands the global economic system better than any guest I've ever had on London Real. His predictions are almost uncannily true, and you can learn how to profit from his vision, from his expertise, and his understanding of economics. So go to londonreal.tv/Jim or click the link below. It's an excellent, excellent look on what's going to happen in the future and how you can position yourself to profit from that. Jim is one of the best in the business, one of my favorite guests on London Real, and he's very, very good at predicting the future and showing us all to profit from it. So click the link, and I hope you enjoy. Hey, do you want to profit from crypto? Then join my DeFi Academy. The Crypto DeFi Academy will help you create generational wealth. But don't take my word for it. Listen to my students.
When I first got into crypto, I remember thinking to myself, I need to learn more. Brian Rose, learning crypto, learning DeFi, gotta do it.
I am so grateful that I jumped in and did this. I had to break through some limiting beliefs that I can do this, that I can afford this, that I can be in this.
It challenges the things that are deeply rooted within us.
Joining DeFi Academy has been one of the best decisions I have made on my blockchain journey.
This course was a life changer, a game changer, a huge eye-opener, coming from knowing practically nothing at the speed of the learning over 4 weeks was just fantastic.
The information you provided in this class was invaluable.
I feel far more confident in my next steps.
You took complex concepts and made them easier to understand.
What's different than so many other ones is it just doesn't tell you what to do. It actually makes you do it.
This is for people who are serious about becoming traders. This is the way it should be done.
I realized from this learning experience again that it is not about what you learn, but about who you learn it from.
The energy was insane. I've never experienced such incredible energy on a live call. Brian Rose, you are a legend, my friend.
It's the only thing in the market where you can get all information and learn everything what you need to know.
Everything is so clear and so well done, and I'm just forever grateful for this program.
It made me feel so much more confident about crypto than I did before.
I did not anticipate how passionate I was going to become about it.
It's of course been like a big learning experience for me, not just in the crypto space, but just in overall balance of life.
What I've learned is, how to take ownership, of my life in a way that I really hadn't before.
Yeah, you can't put a price on that, really.
I would recommend it to anybody, top notch.
Excellence does not come cheap. So if you want excellence, you gotta pay for it, but it's so worth it.
Pull the trigger. That's what this course is about.
You're not going to regret it, really. It's amazing.
Thank you, Brian and team.
So what are you waiting for? Crypto is happening now. Click the link below, submit your application, and let me mentor you on how to create generational wealth and build the decentralized financial infrastructure of the future.